In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to graph kinetics data on Excel, and I'll be giving you some additional tips on how to have Excel calculate values in a whole column of numbers for you and different ways to customize your graph. So here I have set up a tab for one of the experiments where I used red dye and 0.3% sodium hypochlorite at room temperature. So I have my time points and my absorbance data. Now, if I'm using the integrated rate law and the graphical method to determine reaction order, I need to make 3 different graphs. First, I need to graph just the absorbance versus time. And the other 2 graphs are graphing the natural log of the absorbance versus time and 1 over the absorbance versus time. So I could calculate all these numbers individually, but we don't want to do things that we don't have to because we have good tools like Excel that can do that for us. So Excel allows you to type in equations or to use functions that are built into the software. So if you'll notice up here, just above my spreadsheet, there's this f of x and an open bar that's next to it. That is the function line there. So what I can do is I'll click on a square or a cell in my spreadsheet where I want to calculate a number. When I type the equal sign, that tells Excel that I want it to calculate something for me. So in this case, I want to use the natural log function. And so I can type in ln for natural log. That's one of the built-in functions in Excel. And then parentheses because that's the syntax of it. So I would then click on the cell that contains the number, okay, that I wanted to take the natural log of, close the parentheses, and it has calculated that number for me. Okay. So I don't want to have to type that for every cell in this column, but I want every cell in that column to have the natural log of the number to the left calculated. So I can click in the cell where I just had typed the equation. You can see it up there. And then I can click on the bottom right corner where there's that green square, and I can drag to copy that calculation all the way down. And so if you'll notice, I'm going to click on the top row in the column, and if we look at the function box up here, it's taking the log of cell C3, so column C, row 3. It's taking the log of that number. Now, if I go to the cell below it, you'll notice when I copied the formula, it incremented the function. So now the number in this cell is the log of the number in C4, which is this right here. And so it goes all the way down. And you can see, if you look in the function bar, you can see it being incremented. Okay, so now I want, for the next column, I want to take 1 divided by the absorbance. So I'll type my equal sign, my 1, and then the hash, the divided by symbol, right? And then I'm going to click on that column C3 as well. Okay. And so now that calculates 1 divided by 0.971. So another way of copying that formula all the way down the column is to see that little green square. Instead of clicking and dragging on it, I can just double click on it and boom, it completely fills the column. And that double click trick is helpful if you have, hundreds of numbers in your column and you don't want to drag all the way down through several screens. So you'll notice when these things are calculated, I have a whole bunch of different decimal places numbers for all of them. If I want them to look more uniform, I can highlight these numbers, okay, and I can go up to this formatting drop down here. It says general right now. The its number format is the tab. And so I'm going to format it as a number. So that gives me real numbers, not integers. And these little arrows here can give me more or less decimal points, but it makes it nice and uniform. Okay, so now I have my uniform data. Now I want to graph that data. So I'm going to select my data. So I want to make 3 graphs. The first is going to be time versus absorbance. So I will go Insert, and I want a scatter plot. So that would be this one. I don't want to connect the points right now. So there is my first graph. Right now, we want for each of these graphs to have a trend line and to have axis titles and to show the r-squared and the equation for that line. And there's a new way in Excel to do this. Okay, there's a quick layout. So if we go up to this bar here, we're in the Chart Design tab. See where it says Quick Layout? If I select that drop-down box, see how there's one that says f of x here? So it shows a line and it shows f of x. If we click on that, it's automatically going to set up my graph so that it has a linear trend line where it shows me my equation and my r-squared value. Okay, and it has placeholders for my axis titles. Okay, so for this axis title, I'm going to call it the absorbance at 630 nanometers. Okay, and then for this, it's going to be my time in seconds. Right. And I'm going to give my graph a title that means something. Okay, so I'm not going to say absorbance versus time because someone could just look at my axes and say, yes, it's absorbance versus time. I'm going to say what the experiment is. So I'm going to say the kinetics of red dye reacting with bleach or sodium hypochlorite. And I want this to tell me about the specific experiment. So it's 0.3% hypochlorite, so OCl minus, and that's room temperature. All right, and that's a little bit big for me. So I'm going to go to the Home tab and just make the font a little smaller because I gave it a long title. All right, so there's my title for my graph. In this case, it's just the absorbance at 360. I only have one thing, so I'm going to delete my legend because it's not needed, and that gives me more space for my graph. All right, so that's my first graph. Okay, now I need to graph these other two things, and what I think is the quick way to do this is to make a graph with all of the data selected. Okay, so I'm going to insert my graph right here, and so now I have all 3 lines on my graph. I'm just going to try to make it on the same size, although it will change. All right, and I'm going to delete the ones I don't want. So I'm going to delete that. For this one, I'm going to make it be the log of the absorbance. All right, so I'll do my quick layout to get my function and my equation on there and my axes things. All right, and so I'll delete the legend so I have more space, and my axis title now is going to be the natural log of the absorbance at 630 nanometers. Okay, and my axis title on the x-axis is still going to be time in seconds. Oops. All right, and so I have my equation for my line. I've got my trend line. Now, if I go up here, it's the same experiment. So I'm just going to use the same title. Okay. Okay, so for the third graph, I'm going to show you an alternate way of doing the curve fitting. So I'll select all of the data this time. I'm going to insert a scatter plot. Okay. And let's say I'm using a version of Excel that does not have that quick layout option on it. Okay. I'm going to delete the data sets that I don't want. Right. So I just want the one over the A630. All right, so now I can insert or add a trend line in a variety of ways. So I can go to the add chart element, which is still in the chart design thing, and I can do things like adding a horizontal axis title. I can add a vertical axis title, which we know we need. Okay. Another chart element I would want to add is the trend line. And so that's one way I could do it. I could add a linear trend line by selecting this. Okay. The other way I could do it is I could add a linear trend line by right-clicking on my data and adding the trend line there. Okay. And so, whoops, let me make my screen smaller because, oops, Excel, sorry about that. There we go. Now you see the box that appears when I add the trend line, and select in the format trend line box, I can display the equation and display the R-squared value on the chart. Okay, so this takes much longer than using the quick layout function, but if the quick layout function isn't available to you, then you know that it's a way that helps you do that. So there's lots of other things that you can do. So let's just fix our title here. All right, get rid of that. And this is going to be time in seconds. And this is going to be 1 over the A630. Okay. All right. And it just occurred to me that with the red dye, we don't use the wavelength of 630. We use 525. So all of these should read 525 instead of 630. But it's the same. It's the same concept. All right. So other things that you can do if you click on your data and you want to change the way the marker looks. Let's say I want this to be purple. All right. I can go and I can select purple for the outline. I can select, let's do orange for the fill, so I can make it look however I want to make it look. The other thing that is helpful is I can do things like making the equation for the line more visible by increasing the font size. So I would select that text, I would go to the Home tab, and then I could increase the font size so that it's bigger. Okay. Oops. Let's actually make it bigger. There we go. Now it's really big. That's the large print edition for grandma. But it's kind of annoying that my grid lines are going through my equation. So I can also format that by just filling it with, double clicking on and selecting the fill and filling it with just white so that the grid lines don't appear behind it. So there's all sorts of fancy things you can do, but the important thing is getting that R-squared value on there, getting your equation for your line on there, because for the one that is most linear, we will want the slope of the line so that we can get our rate constant value. So for my experiment, which was red dye, not blue dye, I have 3 graphs, okay? And one of them has an R-squared of 0.97. Okay? One of them has a R-squared of 0.9991, and the other has a R-squared of 0.9656. So the one that has an R-squared value closest to 1 is the log plot. Okay, so this is, if you recall, if the absorbance versus time is the most linear, it's 0 order. If the log of the absorbance versus time is the most linear, it's first order. And if the one over the absorbance versus time is the most linear, it's second order. So I would conclude from this data set, okay, that red dye bleaching is a first order with respect to the dye. All right, that's it for now.